Being born in the mid 1970s, I grew up in the 1980s and I grew up on the Rocky movies. As a matter of fact, I believe I was born the year of Rocky the motion picture. As a result, I knew all the characters. I think the first movie that I saw was Rocky 3, where Rocky lost his edge and he lost the eye of the tiger, and Apollo Creed helped him get it back. And he took him back to the old school and he trained him old and he helped him regain the eye of the tiger and win the title back from Clubber Lang. I'm saying this to say that watching those movies, there are certain actors and the characters they played that were very much a part of my childhood and a part of my coming of age in the 1980s and beyond. One of those actors is Carl Weathers. And of course, if you watched the original Rocky movies, you know that he starred as the great Apollo Creed, who I think was a version, or should I say, he was supposed to be an interpretation of Muhammad Ali. Apollo and Rocky started off as rivals. Rocky eventually won the heavyweight championship belt from Apollo. They became friends in Rocky 3, and of course, Apollo met his unfortunate demise at the hands of Ivan Drago in Rocky 4. That was traumatic for me as a an 8-year old, by the way, as I wasn't used to seeing characters die in movies. A similar thing happened with the 1986 Transformers movie. I just wasn't used to seeing characters die, and thus seeing Apollo die the way he died was a bit unsettling for me. But Carl Weathers did not just play Apollo Creed as the years went on. He played in other movies. He starred in Action Jackson, but the other role that I really remember him most for was playing Al Dillon in the original Predator movie. The original Predator movie. Need I say more? I won't get into that now. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's a classic. It's a movie for guys who love movies, and it is a must watch, in my opinion. I own it, and today it is still one of my favorite movies, even though Carl comes to a very grisly demise in that movie, along with the other members of the cast, aside from Arnold himself, who played Dutch. If you go back and watch Good Times, Carl also made a cameo in the Good Times episode when JJ was painting his wife. That character that Carl played in that episode thought that his wife might be cheating on him, but it turns out that she was just having JJ paint a very flattering picture of her, highlighting her very beautiful, voluptuous, and shapely figure. Today, if you haven't, well, if you watched The Mandalorian, you know that Carl has a major role as Grief Karga, who in the first in the first season, he was responsible for giving Mando some of his jobs. I didn't intend for this to be a tribute video to Carl Weathers. We are at the end of Black History Month, so you could interpret this offering as a bit of that, as a bit of a tribute to Carl Weathers. But in addition to his acting, Carl has also been outspoken in the social media spaces about what's happening in today's world, particularly in the nasty and treacherous arena that is politics. I follow Carl on Twitter, and he has a lot to say. And on February 8th of this year, he tweeted something very insightful, I believe, shortly after the State of the Union address. I didn't watch the State of the Union address. I have my reasons for not watching. I want to keep this pretty sterile and apolitical, but Carl tweeted something that me and another content creator, Captain Capitalism, Aaron Clary, he pointed out something that we discussed a couple of months ago when I had Aaron over on my channel. The tweet reads as follows: We voted for so called adult leaders to represent us. What we got are older looking juveniles whose behavior reflects stunted intellectual and emotional development. They'd rather burn this nation to the ground and leave ashes for our children to clean up. Hashtag God bless us. Hashtag be peace. I think that's worth a second read. We voted for so called adult leaders to represent us. What we got are older juveniles whose behavior reflects stunted intellectual and emotional development. They'd rather burn this nation to the ground and leave ashes for our children to clean up. Hashtag God bless us. Hashtag be peace. I loved that tweet. And by the way, last week I had to turn Twitter off on my phone because I just couldn't take it anymore. There were some things that people were talking about that I just couldn't bear to sit and watch anymore. My brain just got overloaded. But I loved Carl's tweet because he did not identify a party. He did not single out the Democrats. He did not single out the Republicans. And what he highlighted for us and brought to the forefront was that it's not just about doing what's best for the American people anymore, or at least it seems that it's not best. It's not about doing what's best for the American people. It's about quarreling. It's about tribalism, and it's, as he said in his tweet, it's about juvenile behavior. And in a time when we need leadership and guidance and unity, we're seeing other things from our so-called leaders in our nation's capital. And I think we need more leadership like this leadership that Carl Weathers demonstrated for us, not the leadership that we're getting in the nation's capital right now. Hollywood is known for its liberal stances and its liberal viewpoints, which in large part are destructive for our society as a whole. And I think that that's the fact that that exists, and the fact that there are some weird and oftentimes radical viewpoints that come out of Hollywood. I think that makes tweets like this tweet by Carl Weathers all the more important. So I want to applaud Carl for this. I don't see everything Carl tweets, but I think that this was a very, very balanced and important stance on his part. I will tweet this and I will tag Carl in it. Hopefully he sees it. He's a celebrity, so I'm sure a lot of people are tagging him in things. He's got the blue check mark next to his name. I'm going to wrap this up. One other funny factoid is that growing up watching the Rocky movies, my mother, one of the things she always said is that she thought Carl Weathers was arrogant. In interviews, I think in the Predator documentary, he is very confident and garrulous and in some ways sensational in front of a mic. But who isn't? And how could he not be a little arrogant? In the 80s, the guy was built like a god. One of the things I always marveled at watching the Rocky movies was how him and Sylvester Stallone were bulky and ripped. But I just wanted to add that. I always thought that was funny. And I do tease my mother about that sometimes. The fact that she thought that Carl Weathers was arrogant, but she thought Will Smith was a little bit arrogant as well. So I'm going to wrap this up at that point. This is Big Discussions 76 Entertainment and Media. I have 4 YouTube channels, but over here I do talk about entertainment and media related topics. My name is Dr. Anwar Youssef Dunbar. I am a blogger and an author. I was going to say an aspiring author, but someone told me you're an author. So I do have a book project on the way, which I will be talking about more on this channel. Please like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment in the comments section underneath. What do you think about Carl Weathers' tweet on the leadership that we're getting from Washington, D.C.? If you want to donate something to the channel, that information is below in the description box. And also, please consider joining the Big Words LLC Newsletter. Again, in addition to being a YouTube content creator, I'm also a writer and an author. All right, everyone, with that, I'm going to wrap this up. As always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude, and always try to do your best. Thank you, and I will talk to you the next time. By the way, I mentioned Carl Weathers is on Twitter. I follow him. That means I'm on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, please consider giving me a follow. For some reason, over the last month, I have been slowly losing subscribers. I don't know if Elon Musk and his team reconfigured the algorithm. I don't know if I've done something, but if you're on Twitter, please follow me at Big Words Are Powerful and help me build my followers back up. Thank you. Bye.